I think I can fix the game. Actually, dare I say it, I think I will. I think I can save the game. I think I can save Watcher of Realms. So before I get into it, this video is built on the premise of two things, this general conceit. Two things. So whether you agree or not, at least you know where I'm starting from.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
Thing number one, I think Abyss 1 is a problem. Now, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm excited that it is difficult content, but I think the way it is difficult and the degree to which it is difficult is a problem, okay? That's the first thing. The second thing is I don't actually know what's coming. So some of the suggestions I'm making in this video and the way I think I can save the game, they might be coming already. I don't know. You got that? Let's get into it. We've got Abyss 1 here. If you don't know, this content dropped nearly 48 hours ago, just shockingly right after the update 2 nights ago, and it was not announced. And it is a huge deal. It is a huge new piece of content, and it kind of blows my mind it didn't work its way into the patch notes. Was it a mistake? I don't know. The fact that it showed up in the way it did in this current version, I think maybe it was. I feel like it was on test server in Forerunner for a reason, but who knows? Moonton has been powering ahead, and privately with the content creators, they said test this out, put out content to the general content creator chat. They were like doing a promo where people can get diamonds for putting out content on this. Obviously, I'm not eligible for that, but yeah, all content creators, like the call is out. Cover Abyss 1. So at this point, they're all in. This is the Abyss 1 we're getting, at least for now. Of course, they could tweak it, buff it, nerf it, this, that, and the other. So why do I think it's a problem? Well, the core of this boss is, can you do big damage and can you deal with him doing big damage to you? And that's it. It doesn't need all these other gimmicks, like Semra has a lot of gimmicks, but I kind of like that because, I wish they introduced more heroes to solve those gimmicks, but it's like, all right, so here you need crowd control, and then you need some kind of dispel, removing the enemy buffs, some kind of strip. Then you need generally damage mitigation. You need some kind of cleansing. You need drop defense, this, that, and the other. It stacks, it stacks, it stacks. It's a cool problem to solve, even if we've maybe oversolved it at this point. And part of the reason we've oversolved that is part of the reason we've oversolved that problem is part of the reason we might have a problem here. So what am I talking about? I saw people in my comments on 2 videos this week say, Apocalypse 2 is so easy. Semra is so easy. Oh my God. All right, big boys, girls, people, come up to the table and be honest with me. You beat Apocalypse 2 the first week it came out? You beat it the first month it came out? No, you didn't. Unless you're like the 25 people that pulled off 120K plus that first month. So you're in Mad or Celestials or Slayers or whatever. You're not. Like, it wasn't you. I can't imagine those people would be wanting in my comments, right? Because they would understand the nuance. The reason it's easy now is because we've had so many solutions thrown at us in accessible ways. It was so impossible to deal with the Aegis, but then all of a sudden you could dispel the buffs. But oh no, Lucius wasn't really working, or at least not the way we wanted. And then now he works super easily. But wait, Lucius was not easy enough for you? How about Kagiri, who just auto dispels every time his talent triggers, which triggers more often than the boss can put stacks up? And oh, you don't reduce the stacks one by one, you reduce all the stacks? I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing, but that's why it feels easy. Oh, you don't have enough damage? How about Twyla? How about A1 Twyla? How about A3 Twyla? That's not enough for you? How about Sung Wukong for everybody? Oh, you don't have enough inspiration? How about, let's give a million inspiration options. So not just Constance and Dolores, let's throw Beelzebub out there. Let's buff Dirtsa like we just did the other day. That's still not enough? How about inspiration with penetration and Diao Chan, and you can switch her to Pharisee mode damage mitigation just with the click of a button at a skill that costs 100 rage. It goes on and on and on. That's why it feels easy. So my fear, the reason I think we might have a problem, what if they start making this feel easy? Because the next limited is like Sung Wukong and Kagiri had a baby and it can switch stances the way Diao Chan can do, but instead of switching, from healer mode to support mode, it's switching from magic DPS mode to physical DPS mode. And by the way, to only do that reliably, maybe there's a chance to do it, but it's 100% if you get A1. And if you get A3, oh, now you do double damage on the ult like a Sun Wukong. And if you get A5, now you get a clone. I don't know. I'm making it up. But, I'm worried that they made a crazy problem here. And I'll explain the problem in one more aspect in just a moment. But I'm worried they made a crazy problem and they're just going to be like, classic gotcha. this is the reason why people call gotcha games like gotcha. Gotcha, not the Japanese word gacha. Sorry to get pedantic, but they're like, we got you. Because they're like, we created a problem. Now use everything you've saved or spend a bunch of money and swipe that sweet little credit card and you can buy the solution. So that's where I'm worried. They're going to do a limited and you're going to need awakenings, and that's the solution. As it stands right now, so this is the other aspect I want to talk about, the only real solution is awakenings in limited heroes. So limited heroes, getting them is pretty dang free to play. But what does it take to not even beat it? No one's coming close. You need 60K. I will say huge shout out to, I'm sorry I can't read your name, or to L, the first people on global server to break 40K. Apparently someone on the 6,000 server broke 50, but no one's come close to 60 and what it takes to get that top chest. But what are they using? A5 limited, God tier. A5 limited, God tier. And then the last limited that you really need A1 for this. And that is the theme. A5. They didn't run Diao-Chan, A5 Diao-Chan, A5 Kagiri, A5 Sun Wukong. You go and you go. Occasionally you see only A3 Kagiri or only A3 Wukong, or someone has to settle for an A5 Lust. Shout out to my boy Febu. But that's kind of the solution. And that's what we're working with right now, is you had to have bought all those old solutions. So I'm worried that they're going to make new solutions that people have to step up and buy. I mean, not to shout out Cobalt from Mad here, but pretty clearly he's anticipated this, and he's like, I gotta just go on Diao-Chan until I can get A5, because you don't have enough soul stones in the world for all this stuff, right? So he's like, I'm all in, and he made the right choice. I mean, I guess for now, 35K. But I really hope this isn't the direction the game goes, at least not fully. It needs to go this direction a little bit, because they need to keep making money, and they need to keep the game fresh, and they need to keep people pulling and logging in and motivated to search for new things. You know, if A5 Arrogance and A0 Lust were still cutting it, you know, people would have no reason to care. So I'm not saying this is all a bad thing, but if this is the only solution, it's really bad. So I started this video saying I was going to fix it. I was going to save the game. Let me do that. If you caught my video yesterday, I think maybe we already have something coming, which is a little bit selling the solution, but a little more interesting. And that is, if you go to artifacts and you go over here, you can go to sell, and then you see all the different classes. So you can sort by generic artifacts. These are hero exclusives and then epics. And then we've got our class specific. So fighter, defender, marksman, mage, healer, you get it. And we have a new one, tactical mastery. So maybe this new class really opens up harder content, impossible feeling content like Abyss one right now. That's cool. What I think would be cooler, what I really think would be the coolest, because it would come with a ton of new content and a whole new aspirational thing to look towards that could really reshape what is currently like the late and end game, but also would give it a crazy breadth to what the early and mid game can be. I think we need a new way to build our heroes. So what could that look like? My favorite thing right now, we've had Gear Raid 1, Gear Raid 2, and Gear Raid 3 forever. But some people don't realize, because you might not know WoR history the way I like to know, or you might not have followed the Forerunner or looked back and talked to a bunch of Forerunner guys. You know, I've talked a bunch with Sebastian and Arcturus and Mawbucket. You might not know this, but in spring 2023, just about 2 years ago, there were only 2 Gear Raids. And it actually was like March or April. Maybe Sebastian or Arcturus will see this video and comment. Maybe Mawbucket. You guys, or any Forerunner people, let me know. Gear Raid 3 was only introduced about 2 years ago. There used to be only 2 Gear Raids. This shook everything up. You didn't have the DPS to solve problems. You didn't have good enough stuff. But then we got the 2 best sets in the game introduced, right? We got a whole new piece of content. That's crazy. Imagine how exciting that was. This is not unique to Watcher of Realms, that like, you think you have all this stuff, but it's added over time. This is how all these games grow and develop. You know, I'm playing another game, and I've got another channel right now. You guys can check it out. But I'm playing Raid Shadow Legends. Whether you like that game or not, a key part of that game is accessories. So what are accessories? In that game, you have 6 item slots, 6 gear slots, the way we have 5, and then they have 3 more accessory slots. They're just 3 more gear slots. But those drop from something called Spider, which is like another gear raid, right? That didn't exist when the game came out. It didn't even exist when the game launched globally. That was something they added later on. Granted, it was towards the end of the first year. It wasn't like now we're a year and a half in, but we've got enough going on in the game. There's enough complexity to, when this game launched compared to Raid, that it's not like we needed to add something drastic, but now I think maybe we do. So you guys know forever I've called Gear Dungeon 1, Gear Raid 4, and Gear Dungeon 2, Gear Raid 5. But maybe it's time we get a Gear Raid 4. Or maybe you call it, I don't know, the Gear Layer, and it's a new place. Maybe you just call it Wham Bam Town. I don't care. Call it something, right? But I think we need something right here, and we had a 6th slot. I think that'd be such a cool way to allow us to solve new problems and allow them to introduce harder and harder content without making it, hey guys, can you pony up all your cash to get many awakenings for exclusives, which is what it is currently, what it was in the past, what it seems like it is retroactively. I mean, how many people would love a Kagiri rerun? I mean, I hate to say it, but there's nothing I want more than for them to rerun a Kagiri banner right now. I'm playing right into their hand. So I think a really cool thing would be, we got an open spot right here, don't we? Right on top. What if there was a helmet? We got our weapon, we got our breastplate. You got your bangle, you got your amulet, you got your ring. What if we had a helmet, right? And what if that dropped from Gear Raid 4 or Wham Bam Town or Gear Dungeon 3, whatever you want to call it? I really don't care. And then that was a whole other way to get, like, maybe it's a one-piece set, so you can pick which special effect you get. It also would obviously just give you more stats. Maybe it has a variable main stat. Maybe the main stat's always defense, right? We have attack, we have HP, we don't have flat defense. So maybe it's defense. And then maybe you could get attack bonus, you get crit rate, you get crit damage, all that kind of stuff. It could be really, really cool, and it could be a really nice thing. Now, you might be thinking, well, then wouldn't that make the game too easy? Like, couldn't that be potentially a problem that, well, we all had to beat Gear Raid 1 and Gear Raid 2 and Gear Raid 3 and the Gear Dungeons and Guild Boss 1 and Guild Boss 2, blah, 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 without that extra slot that gives all those stats? To me, it's a simple solution. You could just decide when you unlock that spot. If you guys remember when you started playing, maybe some of you guys just started a new account. Maybe you're a new player. If you're a new player, hi, thank you for playing our game. Say hi to me in the comments. But maybe you just did the 3-to-play challenge with me that we organized. You might remember when you start playing, this is locked. You have to unlock this after chapter whatever, chapter 5 maybe, in normal campaigns, something like that. And then all of a sudden you unlock Gear Raid 1, Gear Raid 2, Gear Raid 3. So who's to say you don't unlock the helmet or whatever we're going to call it? This is just my little thought experiment until you've gotten stage 10 on Gear Dungeon 1 and Gear Dungeon 2. Maybe that's too extreme. Maybe you need to get stage 7 on Gear Dungeon 1 and 2. Maybe you need to get 80K on Semra, right? The developers can decide when they make that available to us. But you still have to beat all the old stuff in the conventional way, but then to beat the new stuff, now you've got a little more power, a little more oomph. And the key thing for me, and the reason I love these games, why I love Watch of Realms, why I'm loving playing Raid Shadow Legends again, why I've played 1 million gachas over the past 5 years, 5+ years, crazy to say that out loud. I love the variability of builds. I love the customization. I love the tinkering and the tankering, as I've always said. And we're really limited right now. The tier 3 sets kind of suck. Cataclysm's pretty good for special stuff, but in general, this is just an affiliation build, by the way. Let's move this over. It's Soulbound Arcana and Warlord, or it's Soulbound Arcana and Wicked Vengeance, or it's Infernal Roar and Wicked Vengeance or Warlord. That's the whole game for DPS. But if we can add some cool new sets, some cool new variability, it could be so much more fun. Imagine they were one-piece sets, and imagine the effects that those one-piece sets gave were not stats or damage boosts, because that's basically what everything in the game is. Some kind of way to boost your damage, some kind of stats. What if it was another effect? So you put it on, if you have the shaman's helmet or whatever, I'm making this up on the fly, whatever you want to call it, you and the 3 adjacent allies all get an extra 5% damage reduction. Or maybe you've got the electro helmet and all your basic attacks have a 2% chance to stun. I don't know. You can just see already how creative it could do, how creative it could become. Maybe there's a new thing, right? You have a sleep effect where you can make them like fully immobile for 3 seconds unless you hit them again and wake them up. There's a lot of cool things you could do and a lot of more interesting ways to develop this gear. I really think that'd be a crazy way to improve this. So maybe they're thinking they're going to give us a solution with the new class, and hopefully they better. When they introduce this new class, it better not be like a new legendary ancient exclusive lord and then like 1 limited. It better be like you got two rares, 7 epics, and 3 legendaries. I want like an actual influx of new characters. Maybe those start opening it up. But I think taking it a step further, and also clearly something I'm keen on, delivering us a bunch of new content, would be a new gear slot. Or maybe we have an artifact, maybe you get a secondary artifact. Or maybe instead of calling it artifact, you call it, I don't know, a helm. I guess that goes with my helmet theme. Something like that, though. I really think that's a way that they could bring in new content, make it super fresh, unlock a lot of stuff, and just get this game going 100 miles an hour. I'm excited. I feel like the vibes are good, but this is a video I was dying to make because I feel like this problem is not interesting enough and the solution is scarily pay to win and boring. And I'd like another way. And they've impressed me a lot in the past, so I'm ready to be impressed again. Moonton, I hope you watch this. Guys, please let me know your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions, your critiques of what I've said in the comment section below. I appreciate you taking the time to watch my video. I've been Fastidious. Share with your mother, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.